Happy anniversary to Joey. Happy anniversary to Joey. Happy anniversary to Joey. 9 fucking months. I've been in Jersey now. It's been tremendous, but this all started with a phone call. What I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that you have to do and you have to stick to no matter what field you use or what field you choose is what I meant to say, and that's your word. Your word in a business, whatever the fuck you do while you're fucking around at Foot Locker or your little fucking college jobs, that's one thing. But once you pick the field where you have a job, with your career, you have to be very honest with yourself and the people around you. The one thing I found about LA that was very disheartening was that people would call you and say, hey man, how are you doing? This is what's going on in my world. I'm fucking lighting the stage on fire in Ohio. People cannot follow me. What are the rents like in Studio City? I'm moving out here. You talk to them for an hour. You give them 2 hours of your time. You actually go on Google and you tell them to call these 3 apartments, and then you never hear from that person again. And then one day you're driving and you go, what the fuck happened? They were moving here, and you call them up and they tell you some Chinese story about fucking, and when I say Chinese, no disrespect in Spanish, when you tell a story to somebody, they always go, it's un cuento chino. You know, you're going to come at me con un cuento chino. So it's, you're going to tell me some Chinese story about fucking how you were going to move, but the landlord gave you a break on the rent and you decided you want a headline. Listen, if I had a fucking nickel for every call that was coming to LA, I'd be a fucking millionaire. And I know it's a cliche line to say, but it's very true. When you commit, when I call you and I go, I want to get into this, before I make that call, I think of it from all angles. And before I say it, I commit to it. And sometimes I say no, and people are like, how can you say no to that? Because I committed to all, I looked at all the angles from every opportunity, and I don't see how this is going to help me or my career. This is helping you, but it's not helping me. So this is not what I want to do. You know, it taught me to be honest with people. Comedy teaches you the truth. Comedy is the truth. And unless you're prepared to face the truth, you're going to have a hard time doing comedy. As a matter of fact, you're going to have a hard time doing anything in life. Last year, we had a fucking what you call a disaster in this country. The biggest disaster for me was the people dying, and the biggest disaster for me was that they closed the schools. If I didn't have kids, I wouldn't have gave a fuck about schools like I did when I didn't have kids. But I have children, and I saw the effect on my child, and I worried about other child. That's what it's called to be empathetic, that you go, what the fuck is going on here? So on July 13th or July 12th, I got a fucking call. It's not a call. I got, my wife came in very distressed, and she goes, they just canceled school for the year. And I was faced with a dilemma, okay? I have a successful podcast. I have a successful career here in California. I created a paradise for myself. My job is 2 blocks away. I had my life down to a science. But I always knew one thing. There used to be a commercial when I was growing up on Pennzoil oil, the race car oil. And the commercial was, you can install your air filter. You could either pay me now or you could pay me later. When you don't put the work in with your kids, when they're 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you're going to have a problem when they're 13. So your career is going to be going great. You're on top of the world. You're selling out theaters. But in the back of my mind, I'm worried about this 13-year-old girl that's starting to act out because the strongest force in her life isn't around. On the weekends, he's around. And by that time, she'll be watching YouTube and seeing the language I use and the pot I smoke. So she'll start acting out. It didn't take a genius to figure this out. This is just the way life is. So before that happened, I had to take a big look at myself and go, what is more important? A podcast that I'm doing, my stand-up at the Comedy Store will be there forever. Comedy clubs will be there forever. But this relationship with my daughter is only going to be here one time. She's only going to be 8 once. She's only going to be 9 once. She's only going to be 10 once. And I can't have a broken child because they're not going to put them in school. I understand. It's contagious. I understand they can bring it home to parents. I understand all these things. But there has to be something that we have to do. So I made the hardest decision I had to do. I called a friend. And that friend's name was Jimmy Florentine. Was he my best friend at the time? Not really. We were just comedy friends. I thought he was funny. I watched his show, the heavy metal show. I was a fan of him. You guys know I'm a big fan of Trunk. I liked their other buddy. I just liked the show. I would watch it. I'd see Michael Shanklin play the guitar. I was envious of Jimmy, but he was a great kid. And he came on the podcast a couple times. We spoke about the UFOs in Jersey. All you motherfuckers that are talking about UFOs now. I saw a UFO in 76. I saw the feds collecting the fucking dirt, and I passed it on to you, and you're still with the fucking UFOs. Knock it off. Joey told you 3 years ago about the UFOs in 76 in Jersey. 75. If you don't believe me, go on fucking YouTube, press UFO North Bergen, and the tape is right there in front of your fucking eyes. What's the matter with you? But anyway, I called Jimmy. And I said, Jimmy, I'm in a bind. I need to move. I wanted to move to Bergenfield or Bergen County, and that's contaminated. The Jewish guy went skiing, and now everybody's fucking coughing in fucking Bergen County. What can I do? And he said, my sister-in-law, now my wife had already called a realtor, and the realtor was California worthless. Like the realtor, we were looking at houses in California. It was hysterical. We went to look at one house, and I told my wife, I can't deal with this guy. Because everything we looked at, I could fix it. I got a guy for that. I got a guy for that. I got a guy. How many guys you got? How many guys you got? You know, so I just didn't want to buy a house in California. I called Jimmy Florentine. He told me that his sister-in-law was a realtor, and she specialized in homes in this area. She grew up in this area. I had my eyeball on this area. I knew the schools are open. My wife told me the schools were number 2 and 3 in the state in this area. So I called Jimmy like a man, and I explained to him that I wanted to move. And I could hear kind of sort of the apprehension in his voice a little bit, you know. Again, this is some fucking jerk-off comic telling you he wants to move his fucking family. But Jimmy didn't know the guy he was dealing with. He didn't know that I don't fuck around. When I say I'm going to do something, I attack it with both legs, or I tell you no. That's it. I had my heart set on it. I already knew I was going to move. And Jimmy Florentine came through. Within a week, we were putting offers in at homes. And within 2 weeks, I think by August 1st, we had already gotten this home.